Jumden de Jewa da Jumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Riba da Shabzo Demba Dewarash Jigden Jemba Jebu de Galo Juwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Tumba Sanje Jum Pejawa Jaja Duba La Jazelo Chudo Jabzo Je Tumba Jumden de Jewa Yandaba Zobe Sanje Riba da Shabzo Demba Dewara Sheva Jigden Kimba Jebu Kalo Jurwa Lana Meba Lada Men Tumba Sanje Jumden de Bejawa Shaja Duba La Jaz Chudo Jabzo Jewa Jumden de Jewa Tajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Dewara Sheva Jigden Jemba Jevo Deve Galo Jova Lana Meba Lada Men Tumba Sanje Jumden de Bejawa Shaja Duba La Jaz Chudo Jabzo Je Kombo Chedze Jambe Yang La Jaze Lo Kange Lo Je Temnye Tende Nyenda Namda Rabze Chinye Tengwe Chishin Seje Nije Tuga Lengwa Manze Kanda Sebe Tsura Mari Mendoma Donye Geze Chozo Gun La Poje Tarze Yan La Choje Yangden Song Chodara Chedo Nyomo Nilon Lege Chajo Cheze Che Mari Meze Tonye Nyogo Chini Chunze Rede Nam Tene Daje Saju Daze Yende Lenzo Yaze Tove Go Juda Juda Juni Kende Talumus Jambe Yala de Omo Arabazana Omo Arabazana de Omo Arabazana de Omo Arabazana de Kera Veze Dalu Temo Memba Rabze Kada Denje Jonlo Doba Ye Loje Bobe Zedo Se Joje Medo Tama Rera Linje Nyende Yembande Sanje Jenla Mide Bewa Ye Jogun Namda Jenla Jebara Joy Tamba Kenamanje Chugu Kala Kenze Tende Chedara Zambe Dujan Zemala Sabje Chede Chaba Abdo Se Guru Rana Mendala Ganaya Dayame Chonamala Chanjo Pado Tane Javzo Che Tage Cheche Jibe Sonamaje Tola Penje Sanje Dobara Sho Soje Chonamala Chanjo Pado Tane Javzo Che Tage Cheche Jibe Sonamaje Tola Penje Sanje Dobara Sho Chedan Zoje Chonamala Chanjo Pado Tane Javzo Tage Chushe Jibe Sonamanje Jola Penje San Joba Sho Lada Lame Medame Anje Ombo Dan Jajin Lazo Chuje Jola Chawa Cheva Nama Sanje Somba Rabdo Shishin Teve Gyogyoba Deda Shige Tambe Chunin Chinen De Sheshe Namo La Ye Gyäma Lu Da Nu Jin Je Drupon Da Da Mi Ye Gyä Nam Da Drupa Gun Je Chanam Che Zamba Tam Je Gyä Du Ta Ge Chö Dön Do. What did you do different for the Thanksgiving? Did anybody try writing the letter? No. It's okay. It's okay. That was just a suggestion.
I know
Yeah.
I did, for my, my relative, but I also, it's been in my consciousness, and like yesterday I was visiting some people I hadn't seen in many years, and they were gossiping, let's say, put it this way, about someone, and it was very negative, and that person is into drugs and things like that, that person they were talking about. And all of a sudden I remembered, because that, what did that person do for you? So that's in my consciousness now, and so I said, well, wait a minute, she did something awesome for me years ago, and here's what it is. And so, I don't know, it's that exercise, and I've passed it on to a couple of people, and it really is really, I find it very, very useful. And I felt good when I was able to find something,
positive.
good that person had done, because it really was extremely generous of her and extremely helpful to me.
Yeah. So we talked about gratitude, appreciation. So there are two ways to look at it. One is, of course, what the other person, what you received from another person, the kind deeds, the kind gesture. But another is, your condition, how fortunate you are. So I think this one, I came across this clip, and I think that kind of nails the point.
I meet so many people in life who say that they're broke or they're depressed, they're stressed out, but at the end of the day, that's all a mindset. I remember posting something on Instagram that said, don't be afraid to travel. And someone said, King, I'm not afraid to travel, I'm just broke. And the thing is, I never came from a rich family, but the difference is I had a dream, and I took my dream to different places, and that's what got me to traveling the world. A poor man's mind was a rich man's idea. It's the way you think, it's the way you produce, it's the way you create. You have to be creative. There's some people that may have one house and go, oh, I'm broke because I got one house. But there's another person that has two houses, and they may feel like they're broke because they only have two houses. But there's another person who has less. There's some people who are like, oh, I'm poor because they have a harsh reality, and they may have to go and eat out of the garbage can. But in another country, there's no garbage can to eat out of. They have to value every single thing you have. I have to value every moment. So I could feel like, oh, I'm not in a big enough house, or I don't have the nicest car, or I don't have the coolest, newest phone. But there's someone in this world praying for the house that I may have, praying for the phone that I may have, praying for the things that I may have around me. Not just me, but people in general. So always keep that mindset and be appreciative of everything you have. Every little thing. Even life, basically. There's some people who, it's a person who didn't wake up this morning, it's a person who lost their family member, and now they don't have life. So just have a growth mindset. Yeah, just have.
So what do you think? Is this really, to the point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Especially that garbage.
Oh, yeah.
That rummaging into garbage bin. So we think that is so bad, but according to him saying that there are places where you cannot even rummage a garbage bin to find food.
Because it's all picked over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No garbage bin.
Yeah, but there's some.
You see how relativity it is, how relative it is. And he was saying that, I may not have a big house, I may not have a nicest and coolest phone, but there are other people in the world who are praying to possess, to acquire what the person has, what I have. So that's the way to think. So when we are able to, really appreciate what we have, then it automatically brings kind of peace. Then you are not so, what do you call, press about pursuing greater things, bigger things, nicer car, nicer house, you will be very happy, very contented. So that I wanted to emphasize. And then today's so we have discussed for the past 3 weeks about karma. We have discussed about the characteristics of karma, how karma, once you have created, and then what is the word now? Invariably, you will experience the karma. I mean the fruit, the result. And then we also discuss about various consequences of karma. And now the question is, so since we have taken so many lives before this one, and maybe in those lives we might not even be aware of what is right, what is to be cultivated, and what is not, what is to be abandoned. So in those lives we may have cultivated numerous, countless negativities. So are we kind of doomed? Many people have this misunderstanding that, is my karma. It's like there's nothing you can do about it. But that's not the case. So there is a difference between, I think, destiny or fate. I think fate and karma. Fate is that you are fated, you cannot make any changes. That's your fate. But whereas when it comes to karma, there is still you can do something about it. So the negativities, generally they are bad, but there is one quality, which is you can purify them. That's the big quality of negativity. So as we have discussed throughout our classes, that deep down our fundamental desire is to be happy, to avoid suffering and pain. And suffering and happiness does not come about without a cause. It has to rely on a cause. And that cause also does not come from discordant causes. It has to be concordant. It has to correspond. The result has to correspond with the causes. So if we aspire for happiness, then we need to cultivate the correct cause, that is, the virtuous action. So if we don't want to experience suffering, likewise, we have to prevent cultivating its causes, which is the negative actions, non-virtuous actions. So the reason why, despite our wish for happiness, we end up experiencing suffering is that we still have all these causes there. If the cause is there, it is bound to produce the result. The result has no, freedom, no choice. When the cause is there, it has to produce. So we need to kind of eradicate those causes if we want to prevent or avoid experiencing unpleasant experiences. And then also the reason sometimes we try to practice. Sometimes when we go to classes, even we try our best to concentrate. In the class we think that we got it, we understood, but when we get home, nothing there. And likewise, when a little understanding we have, when we try to contemplate on it, there is no real realization. Especially when we really engage in meditation, no matter how many times, how long we engage in meditation, there is no attainment, there is no realization. Why is the case? It's because we are, imbued, is it? Yes. With all the negativities. We are replete, is there such a word? Yes. Yeah, with negativities. We are filled with all this. So that's why all these are creating a hindrance. And that's why we fail, or we fail to accomplish. So, but we are not doomed. There is still way to rectify. Yeah, remedy or rectify it. That is the practice, the purification practice. So today we are going to talk about how to purify the negativities that which we have created. So I think most of you are aware of this. You know already. So there are what is called 4 opponent powers: the power of reliance, the power of remorse, the power of applying antidotes, the power of turning away from faults. So we will cover one by one. So don't worry, you will. The first one is power of reliance. In Tibetan it's called Tengyitop. So power of reliance basically is having refuge and bodhicitta. Why is that? It's because that whatever negativities that we commit, it is in relation to either 3 jewels or in relation to sentient beings. So to counter that, those negativities that we create in relation to 3 jewels, we generate refuge. And then in order to counter the negativities that we have created in relation to other sentient beings, we generate bodhicitta, the body-mind. So I think you all know what bodhicitta is, yeah? So bodhicitta is the mind that aspires to achieve enlightenment, not for your sake, for the sake of other sentient beings. You see that, you perceive that just like me, other sentient beings are suffering. So I want to liberate them. But at the moment, you don't have the ability to liberate all sentient beings, not even forget about all sentient beings, just even to we don't have the ability even to liberate one person. But when we achieve enlightenment, when we become Buddha, then we will have the ability. So because of that, so the process is that I want to liberate all sentient beings. For that purpose, I want to achieve enlightenment first. So that kind of mindset is called bodhicitta. So the first, the power of reliance is refuge and bodhicitta. So you can see that how important refuge is. It is like if you don't have refuge, then it's like you cannot really purify your negativities. And then the power of remorse. So this is very important, most important I think among all this. Because if you don't have this power of remorse, then the following steps are hard to follow. But once you have a strong remorse, then the subsequent steps naturally arise. So I put a picture here, the poison. So normally it says that you have to have a remorse as if you have mistakenly swallowed a poison. So in Lamrim there's this story, not really a story, an analogy to say that, let's say if 3 people ate something that they didn't know it was poisonous, and one person died already, another person is in the process of dying, and then you are here and you know what is happening now. So at that time, imagine how much regret, how much remorse you would feel for consuming that piece of food. So it says that when you engage in all these negativities, you should have this kind of strong remorse for whatever you have created. So this is very important. Without remorse, then the subsequent steps will be not real sincere or genuine or heartfelt. It will become like just a word. And finally, the third step, the most, following the first, the remorse. Once you have this remorse, you will look out for things. How can I rectify this? What is the way to remedy this? Then comes the power of applying antidotes. So if you apply antidotes, then of course there is way to either eradicate completely or reduce the intensity. So there are, do you see the whole thing there? This okay. So there are different ways. This is from Shanti. There was, I think it's called Compendium of Practice. Yeah, Judu. I think it's called Judu. Yeah. Of course, there are other ways, other methods to purify, but according to that text, so there are 6 ways. The first one is relying on profound sutras, and then second, having an interest in emptiness, relying on recitation, relying on images, relying on worship, relying on names. So we will go through one by one. So relying on profound sutras. If you have visited, I think Tibetans would know that many Tibetan families, they will have these volumes of text, what we call the Kanjur Tenjur. Most of the families, they would have what we call the 12 volumes of Heart Sutra. So the relying on profound sutra is the practice where you recite, you read the sutras, or you listen to sutras. So the common practice in Tibetan culture is, if you are able to read, of course you would do. But if you cannot read, normally they will invite Sangha members to come and read. And even when you ask for Lama to do checking when there's any obstacles or whatever situation, so most of the time the recommendation is to read sutras. So even Buddha himself, I'm just giving an excerpt from the Dhammapada Sutra. So you can see that this is very common in all the sutras. Whoever takes up this discourse of Dharma, memorizes, reads, understands, and properly takes to minds. So it's even one stanza. So in many of these sutras, you will see repeatedly that, of course, not to mention that if you contemplate and meditate on it, that is really meritorious. But even just reading one stanza, it says it is so beneficial. So because of that, that is the practice that serves as an antidote to purifying the negativities. And then having an interest in emptiness. So all these sutras, the main the essence of all this sutra is all about emptiness. So just having interest here, when we say having an interest, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to contemplate. Just having the faith that emptiness is, insight into emptiness is the source of happiness. If you have faith in emptiness, that itself serves as an antidote. So it is important that, of course, we have that faith in emptiness. And then imagine just having faith is powerful enough to purify our negativities. Imagine if we are able to really actually contemplate on the meaning itself. So I put this mirror, the emptiness. I'm not going to explain about emptiness. We will cover that later. So emptiness, of course, what we perceive and what is the reality, two different things. We perceive that all things exist from its own, but in reality, it is like a reflection. You see the reflection there, but it is not real. So that's just a weak understanding. but later in later classes we will discuss in more detail. And then relying on recitation. So this is very common. I think we all do that. So the main practice is the practice of Vajrasattva practice, the 100 syllable mantra, Om Ben Sa Sa Dum. So that's a common, most popular purification practice. So of course, in order to do that, you need to receive initiation of Vajrasattva, and then it entails particular visualization, where you visualize the Vajrasattva at the crown of your head, and then you chant the mantra while visualizing the rays of light and nectars flowing from Vajrasattva and then dissolving into your body, and then it kind of cleanses all the negativities. So that is a common practice. And people do kind of retreat on that, like they will try to do 100,000 times. But in Sutra it says you should do until you see signs that actual purification is happening. So signs such as if you dream of vomiting, so that is also considered a sign that you are now being able to purify your negativities. And then having dreams of Sangha members, seeing your gurus, all these are various signs that you are successful in your practice. And then also reciting the 35 Buddha's name, we call it Tongsha. So you can recite the names. You can also recite the names of this medicine Buddha, what we call the 8 medicine Buddha. It's not really 8 medicine Buddha, but medicine Buddha surrounded by other 7 Buddhas. So these are common practices. And then any kind of mantra recitation falls under this relying on recitation. Even doing prayer, all this comes under the relying on recitation. So later we are going to do recitation. And then relying on images. I think it's a common practice amongst Buddhists. Yeah. So we sponsor Buddha's statue. We commission to build or construct huge statues, huge stupas, and also we commission paintings. So these all serve as an antidote. These are all meritorious act, meritorious deed. So whatever is meritorious, it becomes the antidote to our negativities. And then this is called tsaza making. It's a very common practice in amongst Tibetan. So this is the what we call the 100 stupas. So you just make one, it becomes like you have made 100 stupas. So these smalls represent this kind of print, or what you call emboss, represents one stupa. So Buddha's statue or whatever Buddha representation of Buddha. So like stupas are the representations of Buddha's mind, enlightened mind, and then the scriptural text, these represents Buddha's speech. So if you sponsor or commission all that kanjur tenjur, that also goes toward the relying on images and serve as antidote. And then relying on worship. So worship, they translated it as worship, is more literal, I think is offering. So making offering to directly to Buddha or the representations of Buddha. So common practice is what we do, water bowl offering. So we make offerings to Buddha, stupa, whatever, actual Buddha or representation of Buddha. So we also see that people do intensive offerings to stupas as well. If you go to Nepal, people do intensive offerings. Even in Bodh Gaya, they do. So these are the practice. So one way is to make offerings that we do over here, and yes, you brought again, isn't it, Jocelyn? Every week she offers a flower. Yeah, these are the practices, making offerings. And then, I don't know whether you have seen, you can also make cloth offerings, robes, we call it robes. So in Bodh Gaya, you can go into the temple there and you can sponsor a robe. So the caretaker will change for you. You ask them to please offer this, and they will offer. And then another practice is applying coat, whitewashing, painting those stupas. And in Tibet, there are so many stupas, and some, of course, when Lama checks them, sometimes the recommendation is, okay, you need to offer a paint to a stupa. So because these serves as an antidote, and whatever sickness or unpleasant things we are experiencing is a result of all these negativities. So if you engage in these deeds, it kind of counters that negativities, and then as a result, it it helps us to be free from the suffering or the illness. And then another popular practice that is mainly in Thailand and all that, offering gold leaves. Have you done any of this? Gold leafing. So you can buy gold leaves and then offer to Buddha's body. So that's a very common practice. If you go to Thailand, main statue there are people who will sell to you, and you can buy a packet and then you can offer. And some events, even in Malaysia, they do this 1,000 offering. So they have a statue there, and then they have this gold leaf. They call it gold leafing. So you can make offerings to Buddha. So these are various ways of practice. And just to give you an idea how people do.
Ganden Lha Gyäma That's one of the practice. And this practice, especially waterfall practice, is said to be very effective practice. First of all, you are just offering water. So when you offer water, there is no sense of stinginess. If you were to offer something else, which you have to pay, so yes, you can afford to pay one time, second time, and after several times, there's, it's costing me money. So it does not become a pure offering. Whereas when it comes to water, it is cheap. You just get on from your tap and offer. So that's why it's the practice. And some practitioners, I know of a geshe, elderly geshe. So he spends whole day doing this. I think in his room he has this huge table there, and then just water offering. So he does that, and 1 hour he will just redo and offer. So these are another practice to purify your negativities. Then relying on names. So relying on names is similar to the third one, the relying on worship. So it's more or less same. So this includes reciting the names of Buddhas, or all this mantra recitation also falls under the names. And then in Tibet, another common practice is to carve these mantras on the stone. You can hire people to do for you.
So all these acts, like inviting monks to do the recitation and engaging in all these mantra recitations, all these falls under relying on names, the practice. So these are did we cover all 6?
Yeah.
I think we did. Yeah, so these are the 6 practices that Shantideva recommended. And of course, the very common practice is the prostration. In Bodh Gaya, people go there and do 100,000 prostrations. And that is one of the preliminary practices. So if you what you call Mundo practice, you have to do 100,000 prostrations. And then there are also these in Tibet. This is real. They do this. I don't have to teach you how to do prostration. Yeah, I take it as you all know, yeah, so I'm not going into the detail. Yeah, so prostration is another one. Prostration is said to be really, really powerful. In the sutra, it says that when you prostrate, the length, the space that you covered, your body covered, so whatever that grains of sand, whatever number of grain of sands that you have covered, your body covered, from there to be something called the main foundation, the Wangjin Serkisashi, the golden base. So between that, whatever number of grains of sands there is like you have created the merit equivalent to that number to become emperor. Registered? So it's basically saying it's like unimaginable. It's so meritorious. So then Buddha was asked, if that is so meritorious, then I said that, why are we still here? Why aren't people become Buddha? Why are we still suffering? Buddha said that because we have anger. Anger destroys our merits. Just one instant of anger, it is said it destroys eons of merits, the merits that you have cultivated in eons, thousands of years. So Buddha said that's why we are still here. Even though it is so meritorious, but we are very good at destroying our own merits. So I was told that this is a clip from a movie, but this is not. Look at this boy. He may be just, 8, 9 years old and still doing prostrations. So that ends applying the antidotes. Now we have one more. The power of turning away from faults. So now we have applied the antidotes. First we have generated the remorse. With that remorse, we have done something about it. So then, you also need to have this element. Without this element, it is not complete. The power to turning away from faults. You have to make this determination, that resolution that I will not engage in this kind of negativity again. So if you want your purification to be powerful, to be effective, then all these 4 elements needs to be present. If only 3 present and 1 is missing, that is not so. That's not so effective. It will not be able to purify your negativities. So now how does purification works? What happens when we do purification? So it says that the strong purification will eradicate, purify the negativity from the root. So you will never experience the result. A strong purification. And the medium intensity of purification will lighten the result. So how does it lighten the result? So to give you an example, let's say if we have created a karma to be shot, with a gun, with a bullet to your head. But if you do purification, you may experience, it may just transform into just experiencing a headache. So that's how it lightens the karma. So that would be great, isn't it? Who wants to experience a bullet shot at your head? But if you do purification practice, it can lighten. Either it will completely eradicate, if not, it will lighten. It will just make it something else. Maybe you will just experience, as a substitute, you will experience just headache. So that's how purification lightens the consequences. So that's about this purification, the 4 opponent powers. Any questions? No question?
One thing that's always been difficult for me to understand is just what purification does to karma. I mean, I understand cause and effect, it's very straightforward, and the idea that the result is congruent with the action or the cause. So purification does some sort of transformation, I would say, but I'm not quite sure how that happens. How does that work?
Yeah, so that's what it says, that if your purification practice is strong, then it kind of removes from it kind of eats into your negativities.
So the mental state that you've accumulated is somehow, well, you don't want to say dissolve. Things don't go nowhere.
Yeah, it is like this. So if you have heat and cold, so when the heat is strong, the cold goes down, isn't it?
Yeah.
When the cold is strong, the heat goes down. So likewise, when your merit is strong, it kind of overwhelms that negative side. So likewise, like anger and love. So when you have affectionate love, the more you cultivate affectionate love or the loving kindness, your anger goes down. But of course, it is not really tackling the root. The root, of course, it arises from this self-cherishing, and that comes from the ignorance. But it kind of reduces the intensity. The more loving compassion you have, the less the aggression or animosity or anger, it goes down. It is like the scale.
So it's more that you're overwhelming.
Yeah, it kind of overwhelms. So that's why it says that the strongest, the most powerful antidote is the meditation on emptiness, the wisdom realizing emptiness. That really tackles the root. Because all our negativities arises from this grasping at self, the independent existing self. That's the ignorance. Because of that, then attachment arises, then aversion arises. And then we engage, because we have this attachment to this I. We engage in all kinds of activities, either to sustain this, either to protect this, when there is danger to this threat and danger to I, and then you will engage in all these negativities. And then on the other hand, you will do all kind of things to sustain this I. So as once you have realized that there is no such independent I, and then all that grip kind of loosens, and then slowly, slowly kind of dismantles. Yeah. Any questions?
The fourth one, let's say if someone practice the first, second, and third, as and the fourth as well, and then the turning away from the fault. What if you start doing the same thing? How would that will affect?
It's a good question. So some things that you know that you won't be able to stay away from. But how do we do that? If we say, oh, I'm going to refrain myself from doing that, it is more like lying. So the advice, the suggestion is that do it on daily basis. Today, I will not do that. Today, I will not engage in that. So it is possible that you will manage for one day. And then next day you try again. Today I will not engage in, let's say, lying. I will not engage in harsh speech. Today I will not engage in gossiping. So if you do it on daily basis, then first of all, it does not become a lie. And secondly, it is doable. That's one way to do it.
So that means you have to take every day Bodhisattva vow?
Yeah, of course this is not related to Bodhisattva vows, but I think I have mentioned in our last class that the important thing is to practice this, the ethical conducts of this, refraining from 10 non-virtues. So if you don't have this resolution that I will stay away from this, I will not engage in these negativities, if you don't have that determination, that resolution, then even if you don't engage, you don't get the merit. It's like trees and rocks and cars and all these things. They don't do any of this. They don't engage in this, but they don't receive that merit because they didn't resolve to stay away from this. So that's why it is very important that every day, every morning, you make this determination that today I will not engage. I will refrain myself from engaging in 10 non-virtuous actions. But if you feel that I cannot do 10, you can choose. Or maybe today I will refrain from engaging in the 3 of the physical ones. And then go on, continue. And especially if you have some, tendency to engage in a particular action, 10 particular one of the ten non-virtues, then you can make, okay, I have this tendency, I am weak on this, okay, today I will try to work on this. I will try not to engage in gossiping. So you do for one day, you do for second day, same thing repeat. And then slowly you will see the change. So you have developed. So every time, the first few days, of course, you wouldn't even remember. But if you continue doing that, then there will come a time where you are going to say something and then suddenly, you kind of catch yourself. And that's how it should. And then there will come a time where it becomes your second nature. So that's your habit. So habit forms through repetition. So if you continue doing that again and again and again, that becomes your habit. At the moment, why we are so, why we can easily engage in all this negativity is that we are habituated. Yeah. Yes.
And even if one day seems impossible, you could say for 1 hour or
Yeah,
for one
yeah,
morning
yeah.
and build it up.
Yes,
until
yeah.
You, could
You can
say
do that, yeah.
For 1 week,
Yeah.
1 month.
Yeah, I cannot do for 1 year, one day, maybe I'll just try this morning. That's good enough. If you do that, and if you don't engage in that particular action, yeah, you have kind of, achieved the merit of refraining from it. But if you don't do it anyway, but if you haven't made this resolution, then you lose. So that's very important. For us, we have taken vows for lifetime. So everything is part and parcel. So we don't have to do it on a daily basis. But those of you who haven't taken any specific vows, so it's good to do. I know that most of you don't engage in these negativities, but because you don't have this resolution, you lose. It's kind of wasted.
So I have a question. If you don't do the negativity, you know already, the negativities, you know already, you're not supposed to do it. But if you don't do it, if you don't say like, oh, I'm not going to do this today, not lying, this stuff, you have to have a, like a promise or something to say it. Or
Yeah, you have to generate the mindset.
If you don't do the mindset,
Then you will not achieve.
oh really?
You will not, yeah. So that's why you said it is very important to study. When you study, you know how to practice. If you don't study, you don't know how to practice, and you lose.
We know already that suppose example, like if you lie, like it's sinful, right? But if you know already, but if you don't lie at all, but we have to have saying that we don't want to be lie, and all these 10 commandments. You have to promise right from the beginning of the day. You have to say it, or just promise from your side.
So there are two things, yeah. So let's say a person who doesn't engage in all these things.
Yeah.
So it is good for the person because he is not creating all these negativities that will result in negative consequences. That's good. But in order to get the benefit or the merit of refraining from these 10 practice, or what do you call, and then 10 non-virtuous actions, you have to make the mindset. You don't have to verbally say, but you should have a mindset. I will not, today I will refrain from these. That would be good.
More merit.
Yeah, double merit. No question? Then we will have a
quick question. Then let's say, then you've noticed maybe the next day, oh, I didn't do this, so now you noticed it, and everybody else was doing it, you didn't do it, you might have done it in the past, you're not doing it, you recognize it, that it was part of, let's say, gossiping. Then you can dedicate that.
Yeah, rejoice.
Right.
Rejoice.
And then
Yeah.
dedicate.
You rejoice. Oh, it's very good that I didn't engage in that. I was able to refrain from engaging in these negativities. So you feel that rejoice. So that's very good.
But it might not have been the mindset at the time. At the time, you became habituated and convinced, and let's say from reading or pondering this and so on. And then when the occasion came of doing the things that you might have done in the past, you no longer betrayed it. You didn't do it. You didn't refrain consciously. But then the next day you see, aha.
That you will achieve the merit of rejoicing, but not the merit of refraining from that. There's a difference.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, okay, let's break. And there is tea in that big flask. So what is the takeaway from all that, our discussion?
Keep going, keep trying, keep doing your best.
Keep trying, and if can, then purify. Don't forget.
Who are fans of Star Wars? Master Yoda.
Yeah.
He says, do or do not. There is no try.
That's right.
You want to say something?
Only that there's hope. It's not all.
Yeah, there's more than hope.
Yes.
Yeah, we are still alive. We have the condition, we have the facility. So every minute, every time you have tried to do any of these, mantra recitation, prostration, especially prostration, as I think I have mentioned this before, every morning, or the best is if you can do in the morning 3 times, then before going to bed 3 times. That is antidote. So you, let's say if you're going to do that prostration before going to bed, so you kind of recollect, go through your day and say, oh, whatever I have, the bodies of 3 of bodies, 4 of speech, 3 of mind, whatever I have created today, I I purify. And do 3 prostrations. So I think I forgot to mention the medium. We said that it will lighten. Then even if it's the very is not so strong, but at least it will stop the multiplication. It helps. But if you don't apply any antidote, then the karma multiplies. We have already discussed that. So it is very important. So the takeaway is, whenever you have time, even while you are cooking or doing things, just recite mantras. You don't have to recite. And we have this tendency to, chase after this big mantras, big practice, this practice. No need. Even just reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, that is good enough. Instead of saying engaging in all these things while cooking, while you are alone, you just say. That's why many of Tibetans you will see that in the kitchen they are doing recitation. It's very good. And then you also have other options, other choices based on your convenience. You can sponsor all this schedule, make offerings, and then every morning you can make offerings. Every now and then buy flowers or whatever. And even you don't have to buy in your garden. If there is any flower, you can just pluck and make offerings. These are also ways to purify your negativities. So what I want you to take away from this is, all this is doable. We just listen, oh yeah, there are 4 types, 5 types, but then if you don't do any of this, so that defies the purpose. Yeah, so that's the point I wanted to emphasize here. And so now the second part, we are going to do recitation. This is part of purification practice. So remember, every chanting, every recitation is purification practice. So here, because today is Lama Je Tsongkhapa Day, we are observing Lama Je Tsongkhapa Day to commemorate his parinirvana as well as his enlightenment. So we are going to recite this Ganden Lha Gyäma followed by Migtsema chanting. So when we do Migtsema chanting, I have this image here. You try to visualize this Lama Je Tsongkhapa with the 2 disciples, and then you can visualize rays of light or nectars coming from Lama Je Tsongkhapa and the 2 disciples, absorb into you, enters through your crown, and then as it fills up, you have imagined that all your negativities that you have accumulated, in your past lives, all kind of cleanse. It kind of oozes out in the form of black soot or black color liquid, whatever, yeah, it comes out, and then you imagine that you are now cleansed. So as you chant this, keep repeating, keep visualizing that. So that's the practice how we do. So to do this practice, you don't need to receive any initiation. So that's why we are doing today. Yeah, so let's do. The first we will recite in Tibetan, and then there is a praise to Lama Tsongkhapa, reflecting on Lama Tsongkhapa's biography, the achievements, accomplishments. So that we will recite slowly in English. Okay. Tsoji Chonama La Chanchu Bado Dani Gyabso Che Tage Chenso Jebe Sonama Je Chola Benje Sanje Drupara Sho Sanje Chodan Soji Chonama La Chanchu Bado Dani Gyabso Che Tage Chenso Jebe Sonama Je Chola Benje Sanje Drupara Sho Sanje Chodan Soji Chonama La Chanchu Bado Tane Gyabso Che Tage Chenso Jebe Sonama Chola Benje Sanje Drupara Sho Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Tenpa Juje Semje Tamje Dunge Dan Dunge Je Judan Dewa Damje Dunge Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Juje Semje Tamje Nyeri Chadan Nyedan De Da Nyola Neba Juro Che Semje Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Tenpa Juje Simje Tamje Dunge Da Dunge Je Judan Dewa Juje Simje Tamje Dunge Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Simje Tamje Nyeri Chadan Nyedan Dewe Da Nyola Neba Juro Je Simje Tamje Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Tenpa Simje Tamje Dunge Da Dunge Je Judan Dewa Juje Simje Tamje Dunge Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Tamje Nyeri Jadan Nyedan Dewe Da Nyolan Joro Je Laje Gwenje Dogane Rabgara Shozara Ponje Shonzen Tse Chöje Gyabo Gwenje Lozanja Sedan Cheba Nede Shezo Se Dünje Namgara Singje Bede Den Chizun Lama Jebe Zumgara Je Talo Debe Sonama Shinjo Do Temba Jeje Jeja Shozo Se Sijin Jinguen Jebe Loju To Kesan Nave Genjuro Leje So Chabe Beje Lamiren Zebe Go Tondu Jembe Dunden La Jaze Yewo Cheyen Nazo Medo Dan Chishin Dobe Naze Teja Yizhi Chudin Yazo De Sona Shinjo Jela Chuba Bu Kanshi Tome Tune Sabai Lunga Yezu Meje Jeje Da Keba Tomba Somje Medun Jo Ningne Gyoba Chabu Soso Sha Ningme Tude Mandu Chubla Zun Cheje Bombe De Joro Tenyu Je Gombo Jeje Labjen Zeba Samba Dawe Yirango Chizun Lama Tamba Kenamanje Chugu Gala Kenze Tentene Chedara Sambe Tujan Zemba Sabje Chuje Chaba Abdos Tage Chini Sabe Gyawa De Tendan Chowa Kunla Kambe Kebara Chizun Lozan Chaba Ye Tembe Ningbo Ren Seje Sho. The Migtsema, we are going to recite the four-line Migtsema, yeah? So the bracket one you can exclude. So we will first few times we will try to recite is with the tune. With the tune. Me ze ve de jen jen re se che me ge be wan bo jang be ya ka je ke be zu ge zong ga ba lo san ta be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen res che me ge be wa bo jang be ya ka je ge be su gen song ga ba lo zai ta be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze che me ge be wa bo jang be ya ka je ke be su gen song ga lo za da be sha la so wa de me me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo te gong ma le jen jen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya de bo mo le su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo ja be ya kan jen ke be su gen song ga ba lo za da be sha la so wa de me ze be te jen jen de ze te me ke be ong bo Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Abe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Debo Monge Jeme Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Ombon Chambeya Kanchen Gebe Sojan Zongaba Lozan Tabe Shala Soande Mime Zebe Tejen Chere Se Teme Kembe Kanjin Jebe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Chime Kimbe Ombo Chambe Ya Kanjin Jebe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Chime Kimbe Ombo Chambe Ya Kanjin Jebe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Chime Kimbe Ombo Chambe Ya Kanjin Jebe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Drupa Rinpoche Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande Mime Tsebe Deje Chere Se Time Jimbe Ombo Chambe Yang Kanjin Jimbe Sojin Tsongkhapa Losang Tabe Shala Sowande. Root Guru, please come to the lotus and moon seat of Ra, and in your great kindness, please remain with me. Please bestow upon me the blessings of glorious, precious Root Guru. Please descend to the lotus and moon seat in my heart, and in your great kindness, please remain with me. Please grant me the common and supreme realizations. Glorious, precious Root Guru, please remain on the lotus and moon seat in my heart, and in your great kindness, please remain with me. Please remain until I achieve the essence of enlightenment. So this one, I think those who normally do practice So the first one, when you recite the first one, so right now you are visualizing in front of you. So before you recite this, you have to visualize that all that the disciple, all that becomes kind of dissolves into Lama Tsongkhapa, and then it's just Lama Tsongkhapa. So you invite that at the crown of your head. So that's the first stanza. And then that Lama Tsongkhapa, the second stage, it dissolves in the lotus at your heart. So it kind of descends at the lotus at your heart. And then the third one, when you recite, is like the lotus is kind of, you are tying the lotus, and then visualize or imagine that Lama Tsongkhapa becomes inseparable with you. So that's the visualization when you recite this. Okay, now we will recite slowly. We will recite that.
O sun-like prince of the
Conqueror, whose wisdom vast as heavens, has the brilliance of knowledge that sees what ultimately is and what merely seems to be. O venerable Lord of Dharma, most perfect Guru, the dust of your feet I place on the crown of my head. Even the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who fill the 10 directions cannot describe the excellence of your body, speech and mind. Yet out of passionate aspiration, I shall sing of them, pray, listen for but a few moments. As a blossoming garland of flowers, to adorn the necks of the clear-minded, and as a precious jewel to enhance the force of conviction, this song in praise of your oceans of splendor to delight all sages I have composed. Like a cloud, the merit of your superb deeds releases a torrent of rain that swells the virtue of those to be trained, and proclaim with the dragon's thundering roar the swiftness of the vast and profound. O glorious, powerful, bellowing Lama, foremost of tantric adepts, the mighty yogi who mastered the merry millions of the body, composed faultless expositions and made true efforts in practice, most resplendent of Lamas, you tower over the heads of all. At Vajrasattva, in the former birth to the victorious one, you offered a rosary of 100 crystal beads. Thus you acquire the fortune that later to you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. At the age of 7, you directly perceived Dhamma Adisha, the great path clearer, and the Vajrapani, Lord of the Secret. The exaltations of both the sutras and tantras dawn upon you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. O chosen Lord of phenomenal existence, you directly perceive Manjushri, Bodhisattva of the wisdom of emptiness, as the color of a perfect sapphire. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. From this time onward, O High One, whenever you desired you could invoke Manjushri, treasure of stainless wisdom, and transcendent wisdom and Tantrayana secret assembly. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. When practicing the 7-limbed rituals of the 35 Purification Buddhas, continually and clearly you beheld them, and all their forms, mudras and symbols. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Seated in auspicious posture, hands in the Dharma Teaching Mudra, Buddha Maitreya prophesies that, just as the Sugātas who possess the 10 powers, you will one day perform the 12 deeds. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Victorious Master of pure life and death, traditions you receive from Amitabha Buddha, the medicine Buddhas, and the teacher of man and God, Shakyamuni, prince of the Shaivat throne, each with a retinue vast as the visions. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Saintly Tara, source of all cities, Unisha Vijaya, the exalted and radiant, Unisha Siddhartha, dispeller of obstacles, and other such mystic female Buddhas, again and again you directly perceive. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Bodhisattva Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, Holy Buddha Palita, magnificent Chandrakirti, and the mighty Yogi Nagabodhi, appear to and constantly cared for you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Exalted Asanga, who delights the three worlds, the brother of Vasubandhu, the second Buddha, and Dignaga, child of Manjushri, appear to and constantly cared for you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Dhammakirti, a moon amongst teachers, as well as Gunaprabha, Shajaprabha, Shantideva, and the glorious Abhaya, appear to then constantly cared for you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. All the Mahasiddhas of India,
such as Indraruti, Saraha,
Luba, Krishna, Tarim, Tilpupa, Telopa, and Naropa, appear to then constantly cared for you. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Clearly Manjushri prophesies that relying upon these lineages, you would produce colossal spiritual spoons of yourself and for all sentient beings. Great bold one who spontaneously fulfills the wishes of the world. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. When the samadhi of yoga combining mental tranquility with the cognition of emptiness increased like a waxing moon, you beheld the form of the destroyer Yamantaka, opponent of the Lord of the Death, complete with all mudras and expressions. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Having touched your heart to the wisdom sword of Manjushri, a stream of undefiled embrace flowed into the depth of your being, spontaneously arousing the perpetual absorption of highest joy. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Prayer for rebirth in the land of bliss, and an eulogy of the perfect intent of the Downtown's protector Maitreya Buddha, as well as their graduated level of meaning, Manjushri lucidly conveyed to you, who recorded and skillfully presented them. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Whenever you consecrated a religious image, the wisdom beings actually entered into the symbolic disposed deities that you summoned. Still generous fields of merit within beings. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. One night you dreamt of Nagarjuna and his 5 spiritual sons, amongst themselves discussing the fabric of Tibetan origination. From their midst came Buddha Palita, who touched you with the scripture. The very next day within you arose the mind of a high one. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. By focusing on the pit of the 6 branches of Kala Chakra, the wheel of time, you directly perceived this Buddha form. He foretold you soon would quick equal in kings. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. When for the first time you led the prayer festivals of Lhasa, 100 magical omens appeared. At your making this joyous offering, the Buddhas and their sons in 10 directions were filled with supreme delight. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Generating the form of a great bliss deity through the yoga of non-duality, of profound luminosity and illustriousness, you attain the Vajrayana body. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. By practicing the mantra science of inhaling and exhaling Om Ahu on the lotus heart, the vital energies enter the central nadi, rested as the breathing stopped, and then dissolved. Thus you experience the clear light, Mahamudra, the great sea attaining the Vajrayana speech. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Rising the navel chakra mystic height that rests at the base of the kingdom channel, the letter hum at the crown of your head melted and fell to your heart, as simultaneously the experience of the bliss dawned upon you. Thus you attain the Vajrayana mind. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Having been invoked as witness to pure, perfect aspiration, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas came forth. Only when you had summoned each of them into his respective position did you honor them with offerings. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. While contemplating the principal mandala Manjushri Samaja, you dreamed that Manjushri, you were speaking of Dharma, passed down to you a jeweled face brimming with water, pertaining to the Luminous all teaching. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. On the throne adorned with precious gems sat the omniscient Kalpi Lama, Buddha Rinpoche, the text of the real Samaja Ruttanta. He gave to you, exhorting you to be its keeper. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Accepting this responsibility with mudras and mantras, tries to touch the texture of your head. By its blessing, it became obvious that the temple separating and mixing obtained by Maba of the southern hills is two oral traditions of exalted narration. O illustrious Lama, at your feet appear. Your mind absorbed in the mystic circle of Heruka, Chakra the wheel of perfect bliss, merits of Dakinis of the outer, inner and inner places, made you offerings of Vajra songs, transporting you in ecstasy. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. In meditation destroying the force of darkness, you beheld the radiant Buddha mighty Migtsema, having an aura as pure as burnished gold, more brilliant than a million suns. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. Your being becoming divisible from the body's speech and mind. The might of the power of evil was subdued, as the Dharma protectors crushed the demon families. Shrieks and defeated satanic forces resounded across the universe. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. These multitudes of Dharma protectors that you brought under control in the previous eons had been subjected by Buddha Vajradhara to guard your doctrine. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. That you would, after entering parinirvana, sit in the presence of dauntless Maitreya in Tushita, pure land of joy, and would be known as wisdom essence, was O Lord of life, rightly prophesied by both Manjushri and Vajrapani. O illustrious Lama, at your feet I pay homage. By the strength of this eulogy sung from the depth of pure love, may the afflictions of beings limitless as the sky be extinguished. In this and all future lives, may all be nurtured by true teachers and embraced by the sacred Dharma. May the innate wisdom of great bliss reign throughout the world. May the stains of erroneously grasping mind and its object be uprooted, and may all be inspired quickly to become like Vajradhara. May the wisdoms of learning, contemplation, and meditation overtake the earth. May the arts of deliberation, debate, and composition flourish. May the ordinary and supreme cities come to each and every practitioner, and may all be inspired quickly to become like you, O Chaitanya. By the limitless oceans of merit of having presented, like Samendabhadra, clouds of offerings spanning the sky, of having barred every downfall accumulated since infinity, of having rejoiced in the spirituality of those of the path of enlightenment, and of having beseeched the Lamas to turn the wheel of Dharma and not to enter parinirvana. May all beings experience peerless samadhi, may goodness swell like the waxing moon, and may the doctrine of omniscient Tsongkhapa thrive until time ends. The dedication prayer. Chūshī mēdō dhamā rīrā līngshī nīndē gyēmbā dē sāngyē shēndō mīdē mbīwā yī dhōwē namdā shēn chē bārā shō yedāng gurū rānā mēdā lāgā dāyā mē Rinpoche Maje Bana Gyöche Keba Nyamba Meba Yangla Kone Kondo Pewara Shoy Kudze Rabden Chen Namgara Tele Chojuro Yeba Da Losan Tembe Drame Sasum Ki Drove Mese Tado Ne Gyoro Che Rave Korve Shenganji Penda Dewa Malu Jomene Chere Sewa Tenzin Jaso Yi Shabe Sete Bado Tengyoro Chi Jidara Jemba Da Kundo Zambo Deyan Dejendo Teda Gunje Cheso Talo Je Kewa Teda Tamje Gando Shigbe Gyawa Damje Ge Ngowa Kala Chodo Ngaba Taje Gewe Zawa Degwe Jan Sambo Chichi Ratu Ngowa